Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you off the bat, we are going heavy into aliens today. There's a lot of stuff going on at these congressional hearings, and I'm not sure if you've heard, just a lot of weird stuff. So we're definitely going to get into it, but only to entertain you, for nothing more than that. As you know, let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it.
The film that you are about to see is jaw-dropping, and it was passed over by the New York Times. The New York Times had an opportunity to run this story, and they didn't. We're going to show you this unbelievable film in just a moment. But what's more astonishing, however, might be the cover-up and the secrecy of this top-secret film. My guest today is Jon Stewart, former candidate for Illinois governor in U.S. Congress. He spent more than 5 years investigating, proving the provenance of this alleged film, this top secret film, which we're about to show you, and which you are about to see. And it purportedly shows an alien, an extraterrestrial, biological entity being interrogated at the S2 facility in 1997 by members of the U.S. military. Yes, an alien creature being interrogated by members of the U.S. military. And just a few weeks ago, our guest, Jon Stewart, hand-delivered his entire investigation to Congressman Tim Burchett's office, and he's become the first non-government civilian to submit a report to the United States Congress regarding the extraterrestrial phenomenon. Jon, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here on Redacted.
Like most people back in 1997, this was part of, or this was a documentary that came out. I go to sit down and watch this documentary thinking alien interview. This is going to be like a weird humanoid looking person handing a clipboard over to a general at the Pentagon for a job interview. I mean, this is how my brain was thinking. And I'm sitting down, and 30 minutes into this documentary, this footage comes on. It's not professionally done. It doesn't have any cuts. There's people in the foreshadow. This gray alien is bone color, bone, like human bone. It's got round eyes, not almond-shaped eyes. If I'm hoaxing a video of a gray alien, it's going to be gray, and it's going to have the typical almond eyes. And this bizarre physiological monitor next to the being that goes up and down and not across the screen. And then Victor, the alleged whistleblower who claimed to have helped smuggle this out of Area 51, that's the way insiders talk of Area 51. And I don't think a 23-year-old screenwriter in 96 could have made up this script that Victor was talking about. I mean, the vernacular he used was bizarre, and he used a term called medical flagging. The creature starts to medically flag. And I asked my old doctor, who was about 65 years old at the time in 97, on my annual checkup, I said, "What is medically flagging?" He looked at me, he goes, "Where did you hear that from? That's like a Army medical term we used in the 50s and 60s. I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on here? And then there was an acronym on the bottom, DNI, David November Igloo /27. And Victor tells us that was the Department of Naval Intelligence. So I run for Congress 2 years later with this film in the back of my mind going, what is going on here? And I don't want to say his name anymore because I'm getting admonished for doing so, but I was on a political bus tour, and I went up to a senator during a break, and who has passed away now. And I said, "Senator, what is the Department of Naval Intelligence?" And Clayton, you look in my eyes. This guy went from jovial, happy senator to this aggressive look. And he looked at me, he goes, "You don't need to know anything about that." And he stormed off, and he never talked to me the rest of the tour. Clayton, you're a journalist, you're an investigative reporter too. I'm thinking, wait a minute. I got a hoaxed video with medical terminology from 50s and 60s. I've got a gray alien that's tan and round eyes, medical staff that are in short sleeve scrubs and not in biohazard suits to really hype up the video. I've got a monitor that I have never seen in 35 years of my life back then. And I've got 3 letters on this hoaxed video that has just pissed off a United States senator. What in God's name is going on with this film?
So here it is. This is, again, it's silence. There's no audio on this. What are we looking at here as we play this film? What are we seeing on our screen, Jon?
Okay, contrary to Victor's voiceover, this is a film shot April of 1991, a thought projection interview of a other gray, designated an other gray, an extraterrestrial biological entity. He is a haploid, which means he came with only one sexual chromosome. Human beings are diploids. For any microbiologists out there, if I'm hatcheting those words, I'm sorry. But this being had only one sexual chromosome. He came to the S2 alpha, the official designation of the underground facility that housed the alien interrogation and retention program. That's the unofficial name of what this was. They call these interview suites the ambassador suites because the government did try for the care and did treat these and look at these beings and still do as ambassadors from other planets and other dimensions. And if you hear David Grush coughing on his words, it's because he doesn't want to tell you that some of these beings are from other dimensions. And so this being was very ill at the time. He had a respiratory issue. Now, Sean David Morton also heard, I can't verify this veracity, that it's some sort of debilitation or disease with its heart-lung sac. It does not have a traditional heart. It's got a heart-lung one sac, which was the need for the special monitor, which goes up and down, does not go across, to monitor this bizarre heart-lung one sac organ that the alien has. And behind the viewing glass were 5 men, 2 telepaths. There is a researcher out there, but that's how bizarre this film has gotten. And I'm not even going to tell you anything about the telepaths because I don't want it to get into the Da Vinci Code. But even Doty said that the telepathic program, the people they hired, was ridiculous. They were like one step above 1-800 psychics back in the 80s and 90s. But there was 2 men in particular that were very in touch with these beings, and they would sit down with these aliens and these beings and immediately get information and relate it back to whatever military person was in the room. As you can see on the tape, the being eventually starts to medically flag, if I can use the whistleblower Victor's terminology, and he is then attended to by the medical staff. And Victor tells us that the medical staff in S2 and S4, are more chosen for their ability to keep secrets than their medical knowledge. And again, I have been in contact. I have the names of the 2 doctors that are going to be on either side of this beam. On the bottom, you're going to see DNI/27. That is the Department of Naval Intelligence. According to Richard Doty, there's like a conga line of different agencies waiting to insert their questions to this being in the 2-hour-long interview. The interviews are conducted about once a month.
What did you start to piece together from people who were in the room? And so when we say hoaxed video, I think you're saying that was what the assumption you had going into this, that this was hoax. That was sort of the media speculation about this. Now you've proven and taken it to the United States Congress, which, by the way, they're about to hold a hearing on this next week. And I think that this is, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be a big piece of this. And other whistleblowers are now confirmed to be coming forward to Congress next week. Civilian whistleblowers who are going to be testifying of the things that they've been a part of and seen.
Like Linda Moulton Howell told me when she saw the list, you have gold here. Why? No one has ever heard of these people before. And like Linda said, and these people are on Google and are real. And I said, yeah, they are. And she said, son, you got gold here. And so I got the list of names, but I know investigative journalism. That wasn't just enough just to have the names. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. So I started to vet every single person on the list. The first person was retired, working for TRW, and TRW. These are the men, by the way, who were behind the glass in the viewing gallery watching this thought projection interview. That's what it's called. It's not telepathy. It's actually called thought projection. And the first one worked for TRW. And I said, well, this is a hoax. He wasn't even in the military. Sean David Morton, who was in the office of the production company, who first got the call from Victor saying, I've got this VHS tape of an alien, said, no. TRW is like hand in hand with the government. They do every kind of secret project and whatnot. I said, wow. And Doty said that it was not filmed in S4. There are no alien housing there. The alien housing is in S2 Alpha. And I'm like, what's S2 Alpha? He sent me a satellite photo of it and said, that's what it is. It's called the Alien Retention Program. This being was brought in on a part of Project Pounce. Doty's like, I don't know the provenance of the being, but I think it was from the Kalahari crash where 2 beings were recovered. But the alien program whether that be the retention, the interrogation, the biological reverse engineering of craft. That all is now taking place at Michael's Airfield at the Dugway Proving Grounds. The program to interview the beings in S2 was called Project Aquarius, which was basically all things about aliens in contact with human beings. And that is from the email, and that is also from Richard Doty's mouth, who is verified as the counterintelligence agent, who is in his 70s and wants to tell the story, the truth of what's going on and what the government is covering up.
That was a long one, but thought it was kind of important to put in. I don't know. I don't know, because I just really, really strongly feel that if there was this super top secret thing that we were not meant to know about, it just wouldn't be all over TikTok. Like, I don't know. I don't think that they have leaks the way that like TV shows do when scripts get out and people find out, oh my God, someone's gonna die or get kicked off the show. I just don't think that, although it seems to be a bit of a show, I don't know that that's, I just think we're shown the things always that we're meant to see purposefully. What do you think?
Is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies. For many years, I was entrusted with protecting some of our nation's most sensitive programs. In my last position, I managed a special access program on behalf of the White House and the National Security Council. As such, I appreciate the need to protect certain sensitive intelligence and military information. I consider my oath to protect secrets as sacred, and I will always put the safety of the American people first. With that said, I also understand the consequences of excessive secrecy and stovepiping. Nowhere was this more apparent than in the aftermath of 9/11, which...
I don't know this term, stovepiping. We all know gaslighting. What's stovepiping? Can anyone explain that? That would be awesome.
Many of us remember all too well. I believe that America's greatness depends on three elements. A watchful Congress, B, a responsive executive branch, and C, an informed public. Over the last decade and a half, I learned that certain UAP programs were and are operating without any of these elements. Although much of my government work on the UAP subject still remains classified, excessive secrecy has led to grave misdeeds against loyal civil servants, military personnel, and the public, all to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos. A small cadre within our own government involved in the UAP topic has created a culture of suppression and intimidation that I've personally been victim to, along with many of my former colleagues. This includes unwarranted criminal investigations, harassment, and efforts to destroy one's credibility. Most Americans would be shocked to learn that the Pentagon's very own Public Affairs Office openly employs a professional psychological operations officer as the singular point of contact for any UAP-related inquiries from citizens and the media. This is unacceptable. Many of my former colleagues and I have provided classified testimony to both the Department of Defense and the Intelligence Community Inspector General. Many of us have subsequently been targeted by this cabal with threats to our careers, our security clearances, and even our lives. This is not hyperbole, but a genuine fact, and this is wrong. To fix these problems, I propose three principal actions. First, Congress and the President should create a single point of contact responsible for a whole-of-government approach to the UAP issue. Currently, the White House...
Basically, we need a Mulder and a Scully, and we need a little basement office where they have the freedom to look into this stuff and dispute it. I support it.
CIA, NASA, the Pentagon, Department of Energy, and others play a role, but no one seems to be in charge, leading to unchecked power and corruption. Second, we need a national UAP strategy that will promote transparency and help restore the American public's trust at a time when the public's trust is at an all-time low. This strategy should include a whole-of-government approach, including the academic and scientific communities, the private sector, and our international partners and allies. Third, Congress should create a protected environment so whistleblowers desperate to do the right thing can come forward without fear. As it currently stands, these whistleblowers suffer because of stigma, a code of silence, and concerns about retaliation. These whistleblowers should be encouraged to come forward in ways that protect them against any forms of retaliation. Policies and procedures should ensure that protection, and for those who refuse to cooperate, it is up to the members of this committee and the other lawmakers to wield their subpoena power against hostile witnesses and prevent additional government funding to those UAP efforts that remain hidden from congressional oversight. In closing, we as Americans have never been afraid of a challenge. In fact, we thrive on them, whether it's eradicating polio or going to the moon. We don't run from a challenge, we take it head on. To the incoming administration and Congress, I say to you, we need immediate public transparency, and this hearing is an important step on that journey. If we approach the UAP topic in the same way as we, as Americans, have met other challenges, we can restore our faith in our government institutions. Together, we can usher in a new era of accountable government and scientific discovery. I believe that we as Americans can handle the truth, and I also believe the world deserves the truth. Thank you, esteemed members of Congress, for your time today. It is profoundly appreciated by many.
I'm torn because I do believe that public doesn't have to know everything. I just don't. I don't know. Isn't that why we elect certain people so that they can deal with things appropriately? I don't know. I just think that if we all knew every little in and out of every situation going on, I think we would just be in mass panic because we aren't trained to deal with certain things. The pressure that is on these officials, especially the higher up you go, is immense and intense. And I don't know if I am all for honesty and transparency, but I do believe that it actually hurts the country when you're just putting everything out there. There has to be some strategy. There has to be some, hey, this is what our country knows versus another. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? It's interesting. It's an interesting, weird time.
Possession of bodies?
Yes.
We have is it multiple types of creatures or?
Sir, I couldn't answer that. I can tell you anecdotally that it was discussed quite a bit when I was at the Pentagon.
Has there been any, to your knowledge, any communication with a non-human life form?
So the term communication is a bit of a trick word because there's verbal communication like we're having now. The problem is you also have nonverbal communication. And so I would say definitively yes, but from a nonverbal meaning, when a Russian reconnaissance aircraft comes into U.S. airspace, we scramble 2 F-22s, and we are certainly communicating intent and capability. I think the same goes with this. We have these things that are being observed over controlled U.S. airspace, and they're not really doing a good job hiding themselves. They're making it pretty obvious they have the ability to even interfere with our nuclear equities and our nuclear readiness.
You know, I'm not one to typically come on here and talk about conspiracy theories. I do subscribe to a couple of them myself, of course. I mean, who doesn't? But, you know, I listen to all of this stuff on TikTok where they're talking about aliens found in the sea, and then the planes in the sky and bodies recovered. And I can't help but to think that it's interesting that all of this is coming out right after this president was reelected. This president who had opened up.
All right, yeah. I don't know. Well, we're not going to get into all that, whatever that was, but just the kind of the point of just more information. Now they're saying that we've had, obviously, if they're trying to say that first video we showed was real, then obviously we've had communication, whether it be verbal or nonverbal or through technology. Communication is communication, my friend. Uh, so I was hoping that the words would show up and say what's going on. This is something to do with a treaty that's been over 100 years between groups, and they're staging an intervention, or not an intervention, but they're protesting against the reevaluation of the treaty. They think that they should just keep it as is. I don't know enough about it to have an input, except for to say that this looked pretty unhinged, and order has left the building. That's all I'll say about that. They could be right. I don't know. Sometimes you need to speak big, right? But I don't know. It was kind of scary. Felt a little like they were putting some sort of like curse on people, didn't it? Hey there, just a quick little reminder that I make these videos every single day, Monday through Sunday. So if you want to come hang out, I'm here every day. Unless otherwise noted in the community section, I'll usually make a little post if I'm unable to for whatever reason. Hope everyone's having a beautiful weekend. If you haven't already subscribed and liked a couple of videos, if you're enjoying them, please, we greatly appreciate it. I currently have a goal of trying to get to 100 subscribers by November 30th. I think I'm at 39, which is amazing, and I'm so grateful. So thank you to everybody who's interacted and shown that kind of support, because you're awesome. All right, back to it. You are awesome. All right, onward.
This is drone footage shot over the Puget Sound in Edmonds, Washington. You'll see a dot enter the screen. A videographer that I was working with for a photo shoot down by the beach went through his B-roll and found this object and zoomed in on it. He couldn't figure out what it was. He's an expert drone videographer, and he's never seen anything like this. This was shot in 4K. We can't explain it. It's not a bird. This object was actually not moving. It looks like it is, but that's actually the drone moving backwards. It's standing still, and you can see it radiating. This definitely kept me up at night.
Interesting. More interesting things in the sky. I mean, it's never ending. Every day it seems like somebody's catching something crazy up there or in the ocean. I mean, it just kind of seems like we are just one little puzzle piece of this whole thing that's always going on around us. And I don't think it's new. I don't think aliens of any sort are a new thing. I just think social media makes us able to share things a lot easier. Okay, two things. One, I did not make this. I did not put that little victim quote thing. I have nothing to do with any of that. I'm also not going to say anything negative about anything, except for to say that those two guys, they looked very similar. I'm going to leave it there. I don't know. That's it. What do you think?
Technological capabilities observed in these oceanic UAPs that seem to defy our current understanding of physics or our engineering capabilities?
It seems like they all do.
Yes, I would agree with that. You've learned about the UAP activity in our oceans, particularly. Have you spoken with sources who have provided any evidence or eyewitness accounts of these UAPs interacting with our naval forces or being detected by our underwater surveillance systems?
Nothing beyond what's in the report and then the specific case that I mentioned with the org.
And so this report says it all. There's no other information that we are aware of regarding the activity within our waters.
I have other sources that have told me that have shared a significant amount of information, but they're not comfortable with me sharing it at this point.
Just more of the same, right? All about information. We all want to know everything, but I think that if you found out, maybe not you, but some of you, Or not prepared. Where did they go? Where did they go? Maybe they have a little oceanic lair. That was the tunnel point. This is one that I found. I took a screen recording on my phone. It's completely unrelated to aliens, but it's something that just popped up for some reason on my TikTok today. Have you guys seen this trend? I hate to call it a trend, and if we need to stop this. Tell me. Like, this poor dog is choked up here, and this lady is just like painting him. And I
did mix this before I started in the very beginning, and it has changed color a lot.
It just rubs me the wrong way. I mean, this dog does not look at his little face. He looks like if dogs could cry, this dog would cry. The ears down, the whole situation. He was shaking earlier. Do you know how long also this has taken? I have no idea, but I have a feeling it's a very long time for a dog to go without at least getting a little attaboy, a treat, a kiss, something. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. And I certainly don't want to post anybody's user information or anything. But I'd like to move right on from that and all this crazy alien talk to show you something so wholesome and sweet that I found.
Gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but you never really had a doubt. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now.
I had to make that the one today because it just made me so happy. If you didn't feel something from this, your soul needs some fixing. That was just heartwarming and sweet. So I guess that's where I'm going to stop it today. And I guess just clarify, it's not that I don't think we should know these things. I guess it's just that I don't know if we as a whole are prepared. I almost feel like our society is at a very weak point emotionally and mentally. And I don't know if tossing on some sort of cataclysmic event or putting a little green guy in front of everybody right now is wise. So I'm very torn. I think we all have a right to know, especially, I mean, we all, forget America versus Russia versus Ukraine versus just forget it all. Because we are all, at the end of the day, inhabitants of this earth. We are all human beings. And we've gotten so caught up in the politics of it all, one way or another, that we've lost the acceptance of, okay, well, drop all that. And what's left at the end of it all? You're human. You're human. I'm human. Everybody out there is. Everybody in these videos. Everybody, besides the aliens. I don't know, but we just have to remember that we all are part of this same world. Just keep your eyes open and pay attention and don't be surprised of whatever comes next, because it seems like they're really trying to go in a direction that almost elicits fear. Like, I feel like they want us to be scared. Because there are some more videos that I found of sea creatures or UAPs in the ocean and that they're calling aggressive. I mean, if you didn't want everyone to be scared, why would you say that? It's all very contrived in my mind. But I definitely would love to know what you guys think. Where you stand with all of this. What do you think about the dog paint too? That's just like a personal thing. I'm a little concerned because people are saying, "Oh, it's just a trend. Like the dog doesn't care." Okay. Some trends we don't need to do, guys. It's okay. You don't have to do every trend. You're still cool. I still love you. Far more if you don't do this. So, with that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic night. Forgive me. I am still getting over my little thing here. Oh my God, that was so unnecessary in the last 3 seconds. Have a great night. I appreciate you all. I appreciate my friends and family. I want to say goodnight to my amazing grandma. I love you. I'm going to go before I cough more. See you guys.